We have a very special guest with us today, Isobel Redmond, the Leader of the Opposition. We've got some great questions. Welcome, Isobel.
Thank you, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, I know that a number of investors have been very vocal about this. They don't get a great sympathy vote because they've probably got a lot of money. But the experience you've got, how do you get the Harry Perks of this world, who has told me, you know Harry?
Yep.
Firsthand that he's buying outside this state. I've had a head of one of the key people in the Greek community ring me specifically and say, we are no longer purchasing in this state, we're selling and we're moving out of the state, they've had enough. Are you getting the same feedback?
Absolutely, and indeed I've seen letters from other organisations saying to would-be investors in this state, we recommend you consider investing elsewhere than in South Australia. And of course that has an impact on the availability of rental premises, for instance, so that, you know, a young couple wanting to rent their first house rather than buy, there's less available, and that pushes the rental prices up. But unfortunately Kevin Foley seems to think that it doesn't matter because it's only rich people who've got extra places and they're the only ones paying land tax, but we all pay the effects of it.
What commitment will you make if you get in on land tax?
Well, on land tax we've already made a very specific commitment. It's in two parts, and the first part's a very clear financial commitment that we will raise the threshold from unimproved capital value of $110,000, which is where it's at the moment, to $250,000, so a very significant increase, more than doubling. That will immediately drop out of the system some 57,000 people who are currently paying land tax. Under this government, we've gone from 69,000 people paying land tax to 188,000 people paying land tax. So increasing that threshold will immediately drop out 57,000 people, and it will give a benefit of up to $420 a year to those who are still paying. Now that, I think, will have a good effect on the people at the sort of mum and dad investors, yep, who've got the spare house that they're renting out to try to secure their own futures and so on. It will have minimal impact, and we recognise that, on the commercial person. The average person in commercial area is paying some $30,000 on commercial premises for land tax every year, and they're getting massive escalations as the value of their property goes up. So that's the first part of it. The second part is that we have made an absolute commitment that we will bring our land tax into line with the other states so that we will be competitive.
Hallelujah. So let's say you've made those changes. Where's the sting? Where do you pick up the extra cash?
Well, we've already identified some $200 million in the budget that we can count as savings, and in fact, in particular, when we announced this particular policy, we said we think we can find the money for that in simply reducing the amount of government advertising, because the government in the first 6 months of this year spent $23 million on advertising. And we think that there is a need for some advertising. You do have to advertise as a government, you know, if you change the watering restrictions, or if you have particular information about bushfire readiness and things like that. There's legitimate government advertising. But I don't think it's necessary for a government to advertise their budget, for instance. And $23 million didn't even meet their own guidelines. Some of it's being investigated by the Auditor General. So there's things like that where we believe we can make savings, because that one promise going from $110,000 to $250,000 will cost us around about $31 million a year.